Now, the rest of the story.
Oh, I'm doing the stereotypical machinery maintenance that you get to deal with when you're trying to make hay periodically, randomly, whenever the weather allows. And we're still in that weather pattern right now where it just doesn't happen. And pretty well everything we've made has been baled and then wrapped right away. But I haven't had a chance to go through the baler. That last baling video you guys saw me do, wasn't until the next day found out I rolled a bale down through a fence. So, oh well, at least the cows didn't create too much chaos. But I'm dealing with some problems with the baler. I just threw away what I wanted to show you. This whole setup has been nothing short of a severe headache. Upgraded from, you know, just a minor burden, but I'm ashamed to say it took me way too long to figure out that you can actually remove this collar off these shields and actually get to all your grease zerks versus trying to line up all these little holes here. This actually ties into what I was going to talk about up there. We are using a large 1000 to small 1000 PTO adapter. The 8235 and the 4640 require these to be able to put them on any of our smaller implements. The machines that we have, or the tools that we have that allow us to use the large thousands, would be that red grain cart, and actually I believe those Kuhn manure spreaders. We're running the large thousands, so we don't have much. What I'm having an issue with, though, as you can see, I've kind of robbed them out of here, is it's the screws that hold that adapter on. And what happens is I've gotten to where I was babying it. I don't think I have. I just threw out all of my the damaged ones. Yeah, I threw them out. This is what I'm dealing with. This is all I have to tighten down that adapter onto the PTO shaft. Now, the problem is I went from just tightening them by hand to using a pry bar and like really cinching them down to where I pretty much had no consideration for safety whatsoever, and I was actually using the impact and tightening it down with the impact. It does a really nice job cinching it down, but unfortunately it's still ultimately it starts work back and forth on the shaft, and it chews through these screws, these bolts, however you want to call them. It actually slots them out, and then it allows the adapter to actually slide off, and then the PTO falls down and lands on the drawbar. It doesn't hurt anything. I mean, it's done it probably 4 times now between me and Ryan. All you do is you throw a new set on and you go. What I just did, maybe I show you guys. This came like this when I bought this baler. The power takeoff shaft is buggered up. It looks to me like, of course, this is, honestly, this is actually what it looks like after I've cleaned it up. So I tried to take some of the burrs off of it, but it's not smooth. And it really looks to me like whoever had this baler before us were running a tractor with a quick attach, and almost like they set it down or it had lowered down. Because, you know, on some machines, these do settle after a while. It's really none of my concern what other people's equipment is doing. But it almost looks like they set this down and were baling with it, and it messed up the shield. I'd hate to know what a new shield would cost. You think these would be cheap? They're not. Even the shaft. I inquired on just switching the end of this power takeoff, this piece right here, just to switch this over to a large 1000 and get rid of this adapter. It's $700 until it becomes a severe issue. I can keep paying the $20 for a dozen or so spare bolts and just change them out every time we run it. I mean, it's not ideal, it's far from perfect. But what I'm thinking is happening is, see, this is where it is supposed to be, you know, if I have that collar lock back on, right? So you have all this clean area. Well, this right here, this is exposed because I cut back the back part of the shield. Hoping, I think I've, oh yeah, the end of this shield is like right there. So really can't risk cutting any more back. But what I think was happening is when it was clear down to here, it was binding, because this, see, you get it back here and it locks up like right now. What I'm thinking was happening is when this shield was down to here, it binds up and it's forcing it back and forth into the shield. And the point, or the weak point, the point of failure that I have in this whole mess is actually that adapter, because it starts off gradual where it starts working it back and forth, and just think of it like a slide hammer. Just, you know, every time the tractor goes left or right or up or down, because we don't farm in flat country, that adapter starts to move back and forth, and then it starts hitting those bolts. So I went and did, I had already cut this back once. I don't feel like it was, well, to be fair, I cut it back once, about half the width, because I just damaged that just now. I'm thinking it improved when I cut it back about half the distance, because it was before I had even done that. You'd go through two of those, you'd have to switch it out like twice a day. And now when I cut it back here, I could at least run it all day. And even now it was kind of grooved through, but I probably would have made it through it a half of a day. Oh, let me correct that. I did run 2 days without having to switch it out, and it's still getting loose on it. So by going through and cutting this back that much farther, which is the max I could cut it, I know I can't go back any farther. I'm really looking to see how much difference it makes now, because when I went through and hit that with the impact, like I can't move that at all. But you know, once you get going back and forth, or you start running it, it's just going to destroy it. One unpopular, which I probably wouldn't be able to show it, I could, but probably get people upset, is take the shield off and run it a day without the shield on it and see if that actually does anything, because I'm 1000% certain it's this area on the shield here. But I'm cheap. I'm not really willing to look to go spend a whole lot of money right now, and I think it was like $18 to get a dozen of those old bolts that hold those adapters on. So it'll last me for another summer, I'd feel. Maybe not. Went through, changed out another belt. This was actually just fixed at the local dealership. That guy was just on here. I was gonna take him up and get him fixed, but as I was rolling it up, I was noticing that on the tread side of it, there's a lot of areas that are just buggered up. So like you see here, this is what corn stalks does to these belts, and that roll had a lot of areas where the tread was starting to rip up, and by doing that, it runs into the issue where when I go to wrap, where this tread is sticking up, it's a point where any of the net wrap can catch on to it, and then you start having net wrap issues. And it's one of the things about this baler that I love so stinking much, is that I don't typically have net wrap issues, like ever, hardly ever. So that's later than I thought it was. I still want to wash this guy up yet tonight. Belt on, just greased it. I know some of you should be proud. I actually took off, Dad replaced, well, we probably replaced all these chains when the baler was new. This is an 80. I took out a link, so I broke it, and I was able to tighten it back up, because you can see the slack, it was actually clear down here. So there's quite a gap there. I actually went and soaked it in old oil before I put it back on, and my goal is to at least run it for 1 more year. And to be honest, this guy is actually doing really good. So run it for the rest of this year. I replaced the guy in the back there. I know you guys can't see him. That one was really worn, but all I got to do now, outside of, I just greased it, I'm going to drop it down, I'm going to run it, let the chains get warmed up a little bit so I can get some more lube on all the chains, back it down. I'm going to hit the tractor in the baler with pressure washer, more or less just get the dirt and grime off, because this been baling in the rain. I really don't like doing that at all. But get this all cleaned up, blow the air filters out in the tractor. I was going to throw some grease on it, and I could actually back it back in the corner and forget about it. This is just going to have to be the end of the video, because I know you guys, I got too much to go on to include with this video, but like, everybody's got to come out. I got to get the 79 back in the corn planter. I want to get it put away. Got to run it to make sure I get the seed out of all the units. It was blowing off with the air hose. I want to pressure wash it quick, pull the cables on the batteries, and I'm going to go through and check all the seed discs. They are right at the limit to where we can run them for 1 more year, I feel, and then we'll be replacing those seed discs next year. So I just want to go through and make sure that it's ready to go. I thought the parallel arms were going to need some attention by now. They do not. And all I have is a bearing on one of the row cleaners and a bearing cover on one of the seed discs. So then wash it, grease it. It'll be ready to go where I can hook up to it tomorrow, next year, and feel pretty confident about running it. We actually were running the closing wheels, the Schlegels. We were actually losing a lot of bearings this year. Changed out 4 of them. So that was actually a new experience for me. But, you know, my kid's new ride. And more or less just June, blink of an eye, and it was gone. And we're really hoping that doesn't happen. But July. So we got an awful lot of hay to make yet. And keeping cows happy and calves happy. And starting to deal with my first cases of pink eye for the year, which is annoying. But other than that, it seems like we're just running around trying to do everything all at once. So thanks for watching, guys.